I don't know who needs to hear this, but stop trying to quit. As someone who had a lot of bad habits, not to say I don't still have some bad habits, but I had habits that was compromising my health in a very obvious way. And it was ultimately compromising my life in a not so obvious way. I want to share with you some things that I discovered as far as knowing and learning how to like stop bad habits and actually create good habits. Like there's actually a almost like a science to it. It's an actual methodology to this. A lot of people, deal with something as simple as trying to give up sugar or something as powerful and addictive as alcohol or something. Whatever habit is stopping you from being great as far as you're concerned. I want to share with you some principles I discovered on how to actually go about this in a successful way. Because what I could tell you doesn't work is like more effort and more willpower, right? If you are doing, if you're addressing the wrong thing, if you don't have the right solution, if you don't have the right leverage, simply, putting more effort into it, it's not going to change anything, right? It's not going to do nothing. Where a lot of people get wrong, like let's say you got a habit that you want to stop. You know this habit is costing you, okay? And it's costing you greatly. And it's so much to the point where you're aware. So what a lot of people do, the biggest mistake a lot of people make with this is they never understood why they developed that bad habit to begin with. Because it's not that we just necessarily have bad habits, but all of our habits have jobs. They have purpose for us. They serve a function for us. And when we don't properly understand the function that that habit serves in its totality, then we don't know how to address it. For example, you don't just have this chip addiction just because the chips taste good. It's doing much more than that, right? So it's like, what is it doing? What's the purpose of serving? Oftentimes, so we talk about being an emotional eater and stress eating a lot. I'm using food for an example, but a lot of times this is across the board. A lot of times it's trying to escape stress, right? It's a form of escapism. Most addictions and most things that are hard to break, it's a form of escapism. We are trying to escape something, okay? And simply just quitting the habit or making an attempt to quit the habit. You drink more than you would like to, you're a chain smoker, you sugar addiction, whatever. Just trying to stop cold turkey off of willpower, not understanding why you're doing it to begin with in its totality. Because you got a lot going against you, right? You don't understand the purpose that habit is serving for you, right? And over time, you start to develop a biological dependence on this thing. Like it helps you get to a homeostasis to where your body doesn't even feel comfortable when you're not doing this thing. If these particular needs aren't being met, it's a very uphill battle. So, what is everything that the bad habit is doing? Because once we understand that, then we can understand how to properly replace it. And real quick, the reason why it's important to actually replace the bad habit with a good habit. We don't just want to quit the bad habit. We have to replace it. Okay, we have to replace it. It's like imagine a building and it's being held up by a pillar or a column, and let's say it's wooden and there's termites. Now we've discovered that there's termites in this pillar, right? In this column. So we know we have to get rid of this column. It's not going to hold up. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when that this thing will fail and the whole structure, the whole building comes collapsing down. We have to replace it. But you just can't go in there and start knocking it down, right? You have to put up something to hold up this building, to hold up the structure temporarily while we get rid of that column. And then we have to take it a step further, necessary step further, to build a new one, much more sturdy, to serve the same function of the old one, but can actually last. We can't hold the temporary one up there. It's temporary in nature. It's designed to give out, right? The temporary one is designed to give out after a while. And the old one is just not going to hold up anymore. So you have to build a new one to keep the building up. If not, it falls. And a lot of us are just trying to knock the bad habit down without building up the new habit to keep you up, and you fall and you fail every time. You got to be tired of it by now. Like, how many more times do you want to stay in this loop? I talk about the 6A stages, and a lot of us are stuck in the 4th A stage, right? We talk about awareness, attempt, adversity, autopilot, alarm, and then depending on things, it can go one or two ways, right? Acceptance or awareness. I don't want to make a whole video about this, but a lot of us are stuck in autopilot. And what is autopilot? Which, stage 4 autopilot, which is basically going back and forth in between stage 2 and 3, right? Which is attempt, adversity, try and fail. And every time you try, you just try harder. And it still doesn't work. You still fail. You still face the adversity and fail. Wow, you don't know, you don't really understand the actual problem, right? So, like I said, what is the function that your habits are serving? Like I say, escapism. And the reason why, so then it's like, okay, why is it this habit? If you're trying to escape, there's other things you can do to escape. Well, is the other habits as rewarding as the bad habits you have? Right? Because it's very likely the bad habit you have is producing a lot of dopamine. So this new habit has to compete with it. It has to be able to produce some dopamine. It has to feel rewarding, right? It has to be an expression of your identity. Okay? So for example, I always bring up the example of a Muslim not consuming pork. I remember when I was Muslim, I looked forward to opportunities to tell people I ain't eat pork because there's an opportunity to express myself, to express my identity. I struggled with my weight and my health for almost 5 years trying all these different diets. It wasn't until I adopted a vegan diet to where I had seemingly instant success overnight. Why? Because a vegan diet is the only diet that comes with the identity. Just going no sugar or low carb or Mediterraneans, those are types of diets, but they don't correspond with an identity. But vegan corresponds with an identity. It's very easy for me to stick to that because it allows me to express my identity. Very important. Okay? It must be convenient, frictionless. It's so much easier to just grab something, put it in your mouth, chew it, light up the cigarette, grab the bottle, than it is to go to the gym. You gotta get the gym outfit, you gotta get dressed, drive, and it may be cold outside. You gotta pay for the gym membership. Like, it's a lot of friction there. So that's why a lot of people don't end up doing it. It's just a lot. Not to say it can't be done, not to say that we should accept excuses. However, if something that feels rewarding and is very easy and convenient to do, human nature tells us we're going to likely pick that one every time. Okay? And lastly, like I said, it has to help you escape. So if this new habit that you want to replace the old habit with, if it's not rewarding, if it's not part of your identity, if it's not convenient to do and doesn't help you escape, I'll call it rice, right? This is the rice, the 4 rice pillars, or the 4 pillars of rice. Okay? Rewarding, identity, convenience, and escape. If it doesn't do all of those things, you have a high likelihood of failing. Just think before. Think about the times you tried. Whatever, for those of you who did know that you need to try to replace the bad habit. Some of you didn't even try to replace the bad habit. For those of you who did try to replace the bad habit with the good habit, did it check all 4 of those boxes? Did it check all 4 of those boxes? Okay, and the thing is, it's going to be different for everyone. Like, I wish I could just say, yo, instead of doing this, just do this, and it'll work for everybody. Different things feel rewarding to different people. How people's lives are set up, the friction is going to be different amongst different people as far as how convenient starting a habit may or may not be. Some of us got kids, some of us don't. Some of us live closer to things. Some of us, we just have different things. We have different belief systems, so we have different identities and how we're going to express it, right? So it's something exhaustive that I've done, in the past with some of my clients to help to discover what is going to be the habit that helps hold the structure up of their life so it doesn't just fail. You have that column, that pillar holding it up as the foundation, right? Uh, these are very important things, and these are, like I say, this is critical. It's critical. Like, I made an effort to make the new foods so I can express myself as a vegan, right? The foods that with my new diet, I had to make it convenient. I wasn't buying foods that was gonna take me 3 hours to cook, right? I was grabbing a lot of foods that I could eat right away. They didn't even require cooking. Had a small amount of food selection to choose from at first. I didn't know what to eat, but I chose foods that were rewarding, foods that I actually liked, and that were convenient for me. And it allowed me to express who I was, right? And then by default, I got to escape the stress that I was in, because on a short term part of it, I like these foods, so I get a dopamine hit when I engage in these foods because I actually like them. And then over the long term, it empowered me and gave me the energy to create an environment for myself to where I didn't have to try to escape anything. It's no wonder how when I finally followed this methodology, this, the four pillars, the four, my rice four pillars, after struggling for years, all of a sudden I lose 60 pounds in 60 days. You know what I'm saying? Is 2 months later, I don't need any type of blood pressure medication. I don't need to go on metformin. I don't need any medicine or nothing for my cholesterol. It all just normalizes out without having to need any type of medicine. I didn't have to take any type of, Ozempic and things like that wasn't even a thing at the time. Well, at least not for weight loss, because this is back in 2017. Understanding that your habits, the bad habits you have, are serving a purpose, a fairly, I don't want to say like a healthy purpose, because of course it may be killing you long term, but it's fulfilling all of those needs, right? You have to fulfill your needs. It's just not fulfilling your long term needs, but it's fulfilling your short term needs. You have to find the habit that fulfills both your short and your long term needs. This is how you can successfully do it, and it feels frictionless. Your life doesn't have to be hard. If you have to keep exerting your willpower is exhausting. People call me disciplined and I have all this willpower. No, it's exhausting to practice that all the time, every day. And because it's a failing model. Seek the leverage. Seek the leverage. Like, imagine you live in LA and you got to get to New York. And so you start walking, right? After a while you get tired. You ain't even made it out the city yet, let alone out the state. So an example of trying hard is what? Now you're gonna start running and jogging. You think you're gonna be able to run and jog all the way to New York and that's the end point from LA? Or would it make more sense to use the leverage of a car, or even better yet, a plane? Now you don't have to use any of your own energy, and you'll get there much faster with less effort. You can get there faster with less effort. You understand what I'm saying? So trying harder is not always the case. Actually, in many cases you fail, because you got to know the right thing to try hard at. You can break any habit. It's been proved. People do it all the time. People do it all the time. They've done studies on this. There's plenty of stories. Every story you read and all of that, I can almost guarantee you they've done it by following this methodology. They've done it by following this methodology, this Rice formula. Like I said, I don't know who needed to hear this, but I know it's going to help somebody out there. I'll check you on the next one. Peace.